Hey everybody, just wanted to jump in real quick before the episode here with a quick content warning. Themes of suicide, depression, death, and several other possibly triggering things are going to come up in this episode. If you're familiar with the album, you're probably familiar with the subject matter dealing with these things, but just wanted to let everybody know if they haven't listened to it and that is going to be triggering or problematic for you, feel free to skip this one. We have not denoted individual content warnings because it is kind of throughout the episode. All right, here's the episode.
Free Wave Lucifer Fuck 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 is such a good album title.
Yes. Oh my God. When that hit chirp, we were like, what are we going to do?
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Troy Sennett.
And I'm Matt Kistler.
And today we are talking about the Hotelier's second album, Home Like NoPlace Is There, probably recognized as their magnum opus, possibly. I don't know, you can make the argument for goodness too, but it's certainly their big breakthrough into the mainstream, at least of the emo revival scene of the time. This comes out February 25th, 2014, on Tiny Engines. It was, a jump up for them for the sort of independent and then like the Mightier Than Sword release of It Never Goes Out, we talked about last week. It also coincides with their name change, when they changed the name from the Hotelier to the Hotelier, which I kind of thought was a joke at first, and then they just ran with it. But that happened in 2013 when they announced this album and the first single, Scope of All This Rebuilding. This album is just like titanically important to me and to lots of other people, and Matt, I think maybe to you as well. But what was your experience with this album? How'd you encounter it? I think you said last week this was where you kind of found the band.
Yeah, this was where I found the band. I think I mentioned this last week, so I won't belabor it too much. I think the first thing I heard was not Scope of All This Rebuilding. It was when they released Life in Drag as a single, which I think was shortly before the actual album dropped, or maybe it coincided with the album release. I should have looked that up before now.
It was like a couple weeks before. It was the last single before the album.
Okay. Yeah, so that was when I jumped on, because I heard this song. I think I saw like I was like casually looking on punknews.org or something like that, and I came across this song and I was like, wow, look at this sick new screamo band that I've never heard before. I'm going to go listen to their other songs. And it was not at all like Life in Drag, and I was like, in a weird way, a little disappointed, but I was also like, no, this kind of rules though. I'm gonna go ahead and just get on board with this band now, which like we'll talk a little bit more about it in depth. But I find it very funny now that like the thing that hooked me about Life in Drag is like, oh yeah, sick screamo song, and not, wow, this is a wild song about an experience that a lot of people have, that is horrifying, because other people are terrible, et cetera, et cetera. I should have probably grasped the gender dysphoria of it all a little earlier on than I did, but at first it was just kind of like, oh man, this band is sick as hell. And I'm glad that I latched on at all, because it was a really rewarding experience in the end with this whole album, and has been for 11 years now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, any of those, whichever, single or whatever part of this album, hooks you, like, it's a pretty wide-ranging record.
Yeah.
And it is, it's deeply rewarding. Like, you can put it on in the background, and, like, the songs are great, and the melodies are great. You can kind of hum along to it, and it's catchy, but there's so much depth to the lyrics. There's so much like interesting stuff thematically that they're working with on this album. And it's, I don't know, it's great. Like I was talking to Lacey about it today. I had it on, and she was like, this sounds like the Weaker Thans crossed with My Chemical Romance. And I was like, yeah, like a fastball down the middle for my taste, of course. No wonder.
Yeah,
this is
for
one of
real.
my favorite bands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
I mean, that's like how
Damn.
I felt about this album from the second that I heard it. Like, this was kind of similar to It Never Goes Out. I was writing for another blog, a slightly more real music blog, called Under the Gun Review, that I started writing for in 2013. And shortly after I started writing was when they announced this album. And so I remember like kind of jumping like, ooh, this is a band I love. I'm going to cover this. And then they were still pretty small at that point, but then they were gaining steam off those singles, and I got to review this for the site. I posted my review in our show notes, which is like not the greatest writing, but I was exactly right about the legacy that this album would have. Like in my review, I think I was like, this is going to be a really important record for a lot of people for a really long time.
Yeah, you really got it in one on that one.
Yeah, I absolutely did. I don't remember. I don't think I said this in the actual episode last week, but like this is I mean, obviously I'm like a physical media pack rat, and I like keeping a library of MP3s and stuff like that. But I am very like, for whatever reason, very attached to the actual digital files they sent me. This is one of the only bands that ever sent me an advance of an album that was just like not like a weird streaming site that is in bad quality. They sent me the WAV files. They sent them, I could just download them from a Dropbox, and they sent me all the lyrics and everything for the liner notes. I just remember it being like they put a lot of care even into the way that they presented the album to reviewers, and which then extends to the packaging of the album, which we'll talk a little bit about. But I don't know. It was a really exciting thing to feel like they cared about how people received this album, and I think that extends even past the album to caring about how people responded to it, and how they carried forward with certain songs that had somewhat controversial responses. I don't know. I think they're a band that really does care about and wants to connect to their fan base and the people that are found like solace in their music. One more reason that they're one of my favorite bands.
I think that's dead on. Like it is most bands, especially bands that are like working through promoters, like it'll often be like, oh yeah, like have some MP3s or whatever. Like early, like us pivoting to being fully digital and like divorced from physical media was a weird time, I think, for everybody, and it's cool to hear that they took the time to be like, no, we're gonna send you the best version of this that we can, to make sure that you're not having a crappy experience with our music, and yeah, we'll get into kind of the reception of certain songs in the album as a whole. I know we might have mentioned this last week, but it seemed like Christian in particular, but maybe the whole band kind of not necessarily took umbrage, but felt odd about this album getting them kind of lumped into the broader idea of emo. Like I think there was a post that started with, well, I guess we're emo now, which like it's one of those things where like I totally understand like pouring your heart and soul into this thing and then having it like just like kind of siloed is probably a really rough experience, especially given like reading interviews about the making of this album. It sounds like this was a very conscious maturation of the band as a whole, from what they were doing on It Never Goes Out, and like I imagine that like dropping this stunning, like we've already started gushing about this album, and we're gonna do it for the remainder of our time here, but like just dropping this mammoth album and then having people be like, oh yeah, cool emo album, like I imagine that's kind of disheartening in a weird way. I don't know.
I mean, of course, the word emo didn't have the like the negative connotation that it did 10 years before, but it still is like, oh, here we're just gonna lump you in with these bands, and this is like the senior part of, and as a unless depending on how you want to run your band or whatever, it does limit who you're kind of able to tour with and who you get offers from, and how you get presented by writers or whatever. Like I can see the fear of being pigeonholed there. But like at the same time, this album has a lot of emo revival sort of tendencies to it. A lot of the guitar playing, the tunings they're playing in, the style of the guitar playing, the style of the vocals, everything, like it just fits right in with a lot of what was going on at the time, whether that's kind of the more poppy stuff like modern baseball, or the heavier side of things, like, you know, some of the Pianos Become the Teeth, some of the like wave bands or whatever that were popular in those few years leading up to this. Like,
I was wondering when that phrase was going to come up in this series, because I don't think we've ever talked about the wave. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was the wave was cresting by that point, I think, even though a lot of those bands have put out, you know, even better records since then, but they're not like kind of the center of the emo whatever culture now. But yeah, like I think this album pulls in a lot of those influences, even if, like, I think if you ask them what their favorite, you know, the members of this band, what their favorite bands are, it's like, well, we like the weaker bands or whatever. It's not like, you know, it's not like they're just listening to The Promise Ring or Mineral or whatever, even though, like, that stuff I think is like an influence too, probably. All this is to say that, like, it is both the, like, essential emo album in my eyes of the entire decade, and it also is you know, you could also just say this is just a great rock album.
Yeah, for sure. The fact that it has a house on the cover is probably not helping its case in not being an emo album either.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a weird thing that really not that many albums have done, or at least not that many notable albums have done, but American Football did ruin it for everybody a little bit.
I was looking for the post and I could not find it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, explaining that, like, they were like, would have been so much easier for us to just, like, digitally, you know, do the album cover, but they actually went up and painted the words on the house.
I had no idea. That's wild.
I'm pretty sure, unless that was also a joke that I just believed and have internalized over the years, I'm pretty sure that they actually painted the album title up on the house for that picture.
That rules. I hope that's true.
Yeah. I think the house, as far as I can tell, is a little bit harder to find and get to and take a picture in front of than, say, the American Football House, which is just like a place of worship on Google Maps now.
Yep.
Have you been to the American Football House?
I have been to Champaign, Illinois once in my life, and it was long before I was into anything remotely emo. So.
Okay. It's cool. It's just like in a neighborhood. It's a fun place to visit. I guess you can actually visit it now because it's a museum or whatever. I just took a picture in front of it like a weirdo when I went there.
Yeah, like everyone has done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more there is to say generally about this album. Just that it's probably in my top 5 albums of all time. And it's been cemented there from pretty shortly after it came out. I just, like I said in my review, like, I just knew right away that was going to be important.
Yeah, it really is one of those albums that, like, and I can't necessarily explain why in a pithy way, which is why we're doing a whole episode about it. It hit pretty immediately for me too, and, like, I feel like that doesn't happen that often, and if it does, it's usually a little fleeting compared to the kind of impression that this album left on me. Yeah, I don't know. It's wild. It stands out in kind of my, you know, pantheon of favorite albums too in that way. I don't know if I would go so far as to say top 5, but it is definitely, like, up there. It's on my long list of favorite albums of all time that I have running.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I should find my best albums of the 2010s list that I'm sure I made at some point, and this was almost certainly, you know, very high up there. I mean, most of my favorite music came out in the 2010s, just because of my age. But
same, honestly. 2000s and 2010s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, this one was way up there. But we should start talking about the actual songs. This album starts with a song fittingly called "An Introduction to the Album." This, I remember. A friend of mine posted the song on Facebook once and said, with the comment, "This vocal melody was written by God himself," which has always stuck with me because I think that is about the only way to describe how good this song starts. It is the opposite of the, like, explosion of energy that the first album starts with. It's quiet with just a little lonely organ chord and this beautiful guitar part and this yearning vocal. I don't know. It's the warmest, like, most, it just, like, pulls you into a hug that this album is going to give you for the entire time.
Yeah, it's that vocal melody was written by God himself is really spot on. I don't think I could explain it in another way. Yeah, it's really, like, I feel like it's one of those songs, and we've talked about this before off mic, that like you hear it and you immediately get to the end of it and you're like, I want to write a song exactly like that, and I will never be able to, because God himself hasn't handed me a vocal melody like that yet. Yeah, like you mentioned, like it's got that like really lovely, I think it's a pump organ. I think there's a more specific term for that instrument, but I can't remember what it is. But like the kind that you have to like manually force air into, like an accordion.
Got a bellows on it.
Yeah, bellows, exactly. But yeah, like just, that along with the like really gentle guitar that's going on for a majority of it, and like, but then we get this like really slow build, and then obviously we have the world's most cathartic off mic fuck ever, and then we get into the incredibly heavy like back third of the song that is just like this song would have been great if it had stayed in the energy that or on the energy level that it starts with and like kind of builds to before that moment, but that explosion into the ending just like takes it over the top into one of the best opening tracks of all time, I would argue.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that emotional release into the last bit of it is perfect. Like, and it builds up in a really nice way. It's got these backing vocals, these like whoa-ohs that come in, and in the verse right leading up to that. Yeah, it's just a really well constructed song. And I mean, and thematically, I think it introduces the kind of the two sort of most important themes of the album. This idea of like your not confronting, but sort of reckoning with your inner child, and how that has and how you've grown away and apart from this like inner child inside of you, and it's usually like putting that in terms of nature versus like industry or progress. And I think it's in there right from the first two lines. The singing birds tell me tear the buildings down. This idea that like that your natural self has been sort of subsumed by the technological progress of the world. And I think it's all over this, and it's this song, and it's all over this album. And it's like it touches on it in a lot of different ways, but then to build up to the like the desperation of the end of the song it's very effective.
Yeah, it really is. Like it truly like is an introduction to the album in the most literal possible way. Like you would think that this is a bold song titling, but really it's just factual.
Yeah. The other thing that this song does that I like is it calls back to the song Weathered from It Never Goes Out, where there's a line in Weathered that's they said grab a hold, we said fuck off, we'll find our way home. And this song goes back to that with the lines like we're all alone, grab a hold, I know I said to not, what the fuck did I know? And it's this representation, like literally by referencing a song that they wrote when they were in high school of this. I did grow up, and the way that I saw the world when I was a teenager was incomplete in certain ways, or it didn't prepare me for the realities of life as an adult, which is like, I think, another way of saying like that's what this album is about. And Christian talks about or described this album as sort of a summation of a lot of like traumatic and toxic relationships or experiences with friends and loved ones over the time they were writing it. And it's just like what does he call it? The deconstruction of self for personal growth and transformation is the exact line that he had in like the album announcement post. And to me like the way the song builds is that's the representation of that. This last bit is the deconstruction, and the rest of the album is kind of a rebuilding in a way.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah. I had a chance to construct something beautiful and I choked. It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, we'll obviously get more into it, but yeah, that overarching theme is really just omnipresent. Like it peeks its head out through each song, even as it gets into more specific subject matter. Because some of these songs are very, very specific, and others are maybe a little more broad. But in ways that always kind of comes through as the prevailing theme.
Yeah. So next up is The Scope of All This Rebuilding. This was the first single. I think it's a fairly good representation of the album, sonically. It's and lyrically, I think it's a song about growing up and growing apart from like friends and family. I think the references to the cutting them or cutting ropes, leaving the umbilical is this like this idea of like we are reliant on our being reliant on family, even if we're just kind of set free in the world, basically. And so it's that that I think that's the kind of the focus of the song is like a song about growing up. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, my read on this song is maybe a little different. I kind of got that it was a song about kind of I guess to some degree, not necessarily a friend breakup, but like a situation in which a friend kind of cuts off everybody, and you are trying your damnedest to be the best friend that you can, even though you're reaching out with no response. Occasionally only hearing when like when someone needs something or something like that. That was kind of where the you cut our ropes, left the umbilical like kind of hits for me. But like just the kind of the not struggle, because like what a given person is going through when they're like trying to reach out to a friend who's non-responsive is like different than what that friend is probably going through. But like it is a uniquely like specific situation where like you are trying to keep something alive that that is very meaningful to you, but your efforts feel like they're in vain every single time, but you kind of persevere through that. Yeah, I don't know. But
I like
that might
that.
be a bad read. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's a bad read at all. I think it lines up pretty well with, I think, my favorite part of the song, which is the bridge with all the overlapping vocals. But it has the part that you forgot all the words to our song. You can't remember names. It's been too long. You stopped asking what was wrong. Hey, yeah, I think all those lines really kind of fit with your read of it.
Yeah, I in particular like feel like with that kind of look or line on it. The last line, "My wounds healed while my fingers fixed," is like both perplexing and really, really vivid at the same time. It feels like it is a reference to like how helping others helps you out, but like the rest of the song just makes it feel so much more complicated than that. And I that's a lot of what I love about this band is like how much you can be certain about like how you feel about a given song, but how it is very easy to kind of see like broader pictures, the more specific like situation that Christian is talking about in a given song, etc. is like it's got that thing that we talk about all the time, like a degree of specificity that is so specific that it is incredibly relatable if you are willing to imprint yourself upon it to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. I like I like what you said about the like the subtlety and the uncertainty is kind of all over this album. And we talked a lot about how It Never Goes Out is a very like confident, self-assured album in a way, or maybe some misguided confidence. And this album is like this album is from a perspective where all of that has just been torn down.
Yeah. And like it is interesting to kind of see like to see unbridled confidence that was also kind of tempered with this almost world-weary realism be torn down like this on this album, because of like how much it was like simultaneously like couched but also like just upfront and ready to fight on It Never Goes Out. Like that's really cool, honestly. Like it is a degree of maturation that I don't think a lot of people reach, especially not people who are starting off writing pop punk bangers.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where it's just always cool to see an artist who's able to express that growth so well across a career. Or even just across across a couple years, one little slice of a career. Next up is In Framing. This is just, I mean, pretty straightforwardly a song about a friend's suicide attempt, I think. I there's it is I don't think it's hiding that behind metaphor or anything. I think that's just what it is. But man, is it a good song.
It really is. It's one of those real bouncy for its subject matter type situations. Although I do think the almost jovial nature of the instrumental through the first like half 2/3 of it really like makes the bridge very, very effective when they kind of like pull back and then eventually have the last line that's like more or less a cappella. Like this is just a really strong song, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's taking a lot of the same the themes we were talking about, this idea of sort of um the loss of childhood innocence with your new shoes back then just don't fit anymore. It's like a good, I think it's a really good image that ties into that. But this idea that this person has grown, as they've grown up, they've felt more and more abandoned and alone by their friends or the world or whatever. And like I said, it culminates in this like New Year's Eve. You resolve to make your chaos external is such a powerful line.
Yeah.
And then to get into the half year blacked out of my mind, the way that depression can just like wreck your memory, is, I don't know, like I said, I think this is like, it's just a lot of really potent, vivid imagery that, like I said, then builds into this bridge that is this slower, quieter, like yearning moment. This it's sort of a crying out, and then it explodes back into the my favorite line in the song, the with your nature reversed and our home is a cage, you caved and you asked, is this coming of age, which is like the most sort of brutal confrontation with the idea that we've grown up that you can imagine.
Yeah. I don't know, like I mean, I think something I probably should have mentioned up front is like this album's such a tough, like this is borderline, like this is right on the precipice of album I would normally not feel able to listen to repeatedly in the way that I have. Like in the camp of The Lack Long After and A Crow Looked at Me, and that kind of greater pantheon of albums that are absolute tens, but I can't do it. Like this is something that a lot of people experience, having a friend who either attempts or does manage to commit suicide. And like it feels so weird to think of oneself in a situation like that, but like in the same way that like grieving is always for the living, like that's always just going to naturally kind of happen. And Christian in these songs and I think people in general just have such a complicated relationship with that feeling, like a very natural feeling to think of oneself when someone else dies in general, but specifically somebody who commits suicide. Like that's it's normal but feels wrong,
Yeah, like I don't know. I am sort of talking around what this song means to me because I don't want to one, cry on this podcast, and to
No, that's
and to like talk about with too much specificity about it. But
no, that's fair.
What about this album do you think keeps you coming back to it, even though it does have the emotional like heaviness of those other records? Like,
that's a really great question.
Because I know exactly what you mean. Like and I don't know if it's that it's not an album where it feels like every song is about this one specific situation or person, where I think the other albums you mentioned are kind of that. Stage 4 being another one, by Touche Amore being another one. Those are albums that are all explicitly about, like, all 10 songs or whatever are about one person or one scenario or one grieving. And this feels like a wider ranging album about many different griefs, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's, I don't know if that is, I don't know. I asked you the question, then I answered it for you. So.
No, I think it's a valid question still. I can't say for sure. The best thing I can come up with off the dome is that in a lot of ways this album is about I don't want to overstate this at all, because like it feels very wrong in this situation in particular, but I feel like a lot of what this album is about is things that I have experienced, like actually experienced. And I think the other albums that we've mentioned, I can listen to Stage 4, which feels odd given, you know, how specifically like the Lack Long After it is. I think the thing about like A Crow Looked at Me and the Lack Long After in particular is that those albums are more about things I fear than about things I can relate to. And I think that might be kind of the operative difference here. I think if I, in a weird way, like I think if I had lost a parent to like MS specifically, or you know, God forbid I lost, you know, the love of my life to, you know, suddenly in the way that Phil Elverum did, like I think those albums would hit close to home in a different way. But like, I think the fact that it's the horror movie thing, right? Where the thing you can imagine is way worse than the thing that you can actually see in front of you. And I think that might be what's happening here.
Okay.
That might be.
That
I don't know. I actually don't know, but that's the best I can come up with.
That totally makes sense. I mean, I also just wonder if that the songs are just so like they're kind of pop songs in their way, even despite the lyrical content.
Oh, these songs all bang, to be clear.
Right. Yeah, and like I think even if I didn't want to emotionally engage with these songs at any particular time, I would still just be humming them. And I mean, part of that is probably part of what I keep coming back to this album for. I don't know. I think your explanation of it makes total sense though. Just a good song, just a great song.
Yeah. Speaking of great songs,
after that is Your Deep Rest, which is that saying that song title out loud and like the play on words is the one thing that feels so like tonally off from the rest of this album, that it's like a sort of a joke song title. But I guess I mean it's just one way to counter this stuff is with like a weird bit of humor. But
I'm gonna admit something right now. I never picked up on that until embarrassingly recently.
It's okay
because I never said that song title out loud. I think is the thing.
I was like 19 years old when I got Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, that joke. So I feel you.
All right, fair.
Yeah. But I mean, this is. I mean, I guess it's not too much of a stretch to assume that these two songs are about the same situation. I don't know that for sure, obviously, right. But you can draw a lot of connections. That Your Deep Rest is a song about the aftermath of a friend's suicide and about being at the funeral and just trying to, you know, feeling both, you know, wanting to grieve in a way and being overwhelmed by that, but at the same time feeling like you don't quite fit in with the way that everyone else is grieving or that everyone else is feeling, and so this discomfort with that. There's a lot of layers to this song, I think.
Yeah, and I think my thing that I was talking about on In Framing was maybe bleeding into this song a little bit more than I intended for it to. But yeah, for sure. Something about this, the way that this song is presented in print form is that there are multiple bits of the song that are just like full verses that are just encased in quotes, which I find an interesting thing because they don't feel like natural speech, but they do feel like they are trying to sum up a conversation, you know, in a way that fits into a song. But it's the first verse, and I think is it the second verse? The little lyrics
chunks
makes
of
it a little
the second
difficult
verse,
to tell.
yeah.
Yeah, that second verse in particular, the
extended tree metaphor.
Yeah, the extended tree metaphor. That's so fucking rough. Because that's the classic like, go just get over it. Go to therapy. You'll get fixed up. It's fine. Like this isn't unfixable. It's not more complicated than your brain's broken. You need to go get it fixed. And like that, it is. I know 2014 in a lot of ways was a different time, but like people are still like that. People are still out here being like that, and it's incredibly fucking frustrating.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's I think a lot of this song, particularly the bridge, is about the way that like treatment for mental illness is handled in society, and this idea that like just I could just read the lyrics of the bridge, I guess, but like
it's pretty
the
straightforward.
idea, yeah. But yeah, the idea that it's like, well, you were born this way, there's no changing it, and here, have some pills, and it's like, and it's the it is just another representation, I think, of this nature versus modernity or technology idea in the song. And I don't know enough about this stuff from my own experience or from research or anything to like have a strong opinion on what I think the band or what I think Christian is writing about, or that perspective here. But I think I just am picking up on the themes of this idea of like, because I don't think they're just advocating of like a nature will heal you thing. I think it's more nuanced than that. But I think the idea that there is something to the natural world that is not accounted for by like modernity is sort of some power there. I think that's a thing that they're playing with on this album.
Yeah, no, I think kind of in general, I totally am in agreement with you in that like they clearly think that it's like a lot more complicated than just, oh yeah, nature will heal you. Like there's no way that they're on that train. I think it is, and it's definitely not a like, you shouldn't go to the doctor and try medication if that's gonna work for you, because like for some people it does, and that's fucking incredible. I'm so grateful to modern medicine for so many things. That said, like, a lot of people who are, getting treated for anything mental health related, there's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes it, medications just straight up don't work, and you do have to, do things like kind of unpack the external factors that are, potentially causing your depression, anxiety, what have you. It's a really complicated thing that has many possible factors, which is a thing that a lot of people ignore, which I think is kind of more what's being addressed on this song.
Yeah, or that the world is telling you that like the way that you are is just inevitable and there's no fixing it. I think is the other thing that they're kind of referencing there. I mean, and then you get to the last chorus where it has the might have learned how to swim, never taught how to drown, which is just a great way of expressing when this stuff like sneaks up on you. And like, when you like, no one teaches you how to deal with depression or anxiety, or like the first time you have a panic attack or whatever. It's like that like, I remember hearing that line again for the first time after I had legit had a panic attack, and I was like, oh, that is what this is about. And yeah, no one ever thought to explain what this would be like.
Yeah. It's always weird to come to the realization that you have had a panic attack when you don't really know what that is or what it feels like, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's... Yep.
Yeah, I mean, more just another great song.
An incredible song.
Yeah, I feel like the band expressed at some point that they had some unhappiness with how the song turned out, but I think it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, I don't know what that would stem from, but you know what, I mean, it might kind of point back to what we were just talking about with the like, it's a little unclear where they stand vis-a-vis like, what you should do to deal with your mental health, but like, it's clear enough, I think, that we know not to assume the worst. But like, and I mean, obviously, we'll get to a song that is famously misinterpreted, or has been famously misinterpreted.
Well, yeah.
But I could see that being part of their unhappiness with it.
Yeah. So I think that those first four songs are this just big emotional crescendo in my mind, and then you get this quiet intro to Among the Wildflowers, and that is like sort of the album could not keep ramping up from there. There's nowhere else for it to go. Like, you have to go down a little bit, and I think this Among the Wildflowers as like a centerpiece to the album handles that really well. As a song that starts pretty quiet, And this is kind of come down, and but it also builds into this heavy like time changing, time signature shifting ending. And this song is split across both sides of the record, which I don't think I've ever seen another band do.
Right.
So like there's a moment where I think it's after the heavy part where there's like the kind of longer ambient outro, which I think that is on side 2 of the album.
Right, yeah, that ends with like the guitar getting plugged in, and then it goes into Life in Drag.
Yeah, but so the whole there's the like the ambient guitar, so the main part of the song is all inside 1, and then like the ambient guitar stuff with that little like field recording or interview or whatever is all inside 2. I just thought that was a really cool way to break up the album. But what do you think of Among the Wildflowers?
I think it's great. Yeah, it's I totally agree with you on the like there was no way for them to ramp up further without going back down a little bit. And I think like doing a song like this where we have this just complete and utter tonal shift right in the middle, tonal time signature feel, etc. Shift was the best way to go, especially going into a much heavier song after that. But like on its own, like I really love that shift. I really love the outro, the kind of little interview with that kid, because it kind of, you alluded to this earlier, talking about reckoning with our inner child, and like hearing a kid talk about what they would do if somebody was hurting their friend is like so fucking pure in a way that like you have to sit and think about, what am I treating my friends this way? Am I terrible? What the fuck? What changed? What happened? Because like I would simply put myself between the person hurting my friend and my friend, which is an incredibly like beautiful sentiment. And I love that. And the fact that it's like, coming from an actual child, like makes you think like, was that the way I was when I was a kid? I was that way when I was a kid. When did I become the way that I am now? Like it's a really weird really weird thing to have to think about at the end of a song like this, but I think it like really ties into the broader themes of the album.
Yeah, well, and I think this idea of well, exactly what you said, this is how I was, how did I get the way I am? And I think the song kind of attempts to answer that in like in with all these references to, I mean, you think from like you were born on a leap year, like the calendar is a construct of the modern world, and I think is the sort of the implication there, and like this idea that it gets in the like the sort of heavier bridge part, it gets into the idea of like imperialism and the colonialism, or reference as like a map of the body, it's crass object colonial, like the held underwater, told to scream your self-worth, like the idea that all the systems of we talked about, it never goes out, like all the systems of the world kind of conspiring to wear you down and to beat this pure like communal feeling out of you.
Yeah. Song construction note, I think this is the only song on the album that just has a chorus that is purely like 3 lines that are repeated twice in the song. Like no changes made to the chorus at all the second time around. There's only 2 of them. I find that very, like, I don't think it means anything in terms of like the song itself, but I do think it's interesting for a band like this that often does the thing where they make minor changes to a chorus or just don't have a chorus in a song. And
that's
it's
a good point.
Chorus, to be clear. So
yeah, for some reason I thought this one changed too, but I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, I thought so too. I had to look at it multiple times and like go back and I'm like, am I sure they didn't just misprint something here? But no, it's just the same lines again, and they're still as good the second time as they were the first time.
Yeah. So then from Among the Wildflowers, you get into the heaviest song on the album, maybe emotionally, definitely musically. That's Life in Drag. I cannot believe they released this as a single. That is so cool of them.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up a song about being uncomfortable, various levels of uncomfortable with the gender binary, and expressed in a lot of different ways across the song. This is a great song, a really powerful song.
It is a really powerful song. It is. I do. I also love that they released it as a single, and I think in a lot of ways, it makes perfect sense in a weird way. Like sonically, it's obviously a screamo song, but like if you want to kind of present the album in a couple of songs, it was just this and The Scope of All This Rebuilding, right? Those, or was there an additional single?
Your Deep Rest was a single too.
Okay. Yeah, so really I feel like those three songs are pretty representative of the album, barring releasing an introduction to the album, which would have been an insane choice. Imagine not hearing that when you drop the needle on it for the first time, digitally or otherwise. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, they picked the right singles, clearly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I said, kind of in our little intro, like I cannot believe how much like the point of this song kind of whiffed over me the first time I heard it, but like it was a more passive listen than I've done in the time since. But like yeah, it's really, it's brutally honest about very, like you said, varying degrees of gender dysphoria and just gender discomfort, gender questioning, the ways in which we interact with what society has constructed as how you should be based on how you came out. Like it's really kind of stunningly beautiful in that way.
Yeah. And it's also like an indictment by the end. This like you wore the binary like a badge of fucking honor is like I mean to have that line like be like spat at you is would be just brutal.
Yeah, it's I don't know. What there was something specific I wanted to. Oh yeah, the line or I guess the couplet and I felt weak in women's wear, gender fucked, dilated, stuck holding a stare is like, I think that might be the most, like, outside of the very last couple lines, I think that might be the most loaded set of lines in this song. Just in terms of, like, encapsulating, like, gender expectations, gender stereotypes, experimenting with alternative ways of representing or of presenting of yourself, of performing gender. Obviously, like having the whole central like thesis of the song being that one can live an entire life in drag is also kind of heavily implying all of that in a pithy way. Not pithy, but in so few words. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of a swift song, but it really packs a lot in.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I don't know that I have much to add to that. I just this is one that's just like just read the lyrics. Like even if musically it doesn't appeal to you, like as a set of lyrics, it is it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Real quick shout out to it does call back to Night Rats.
Oh yeah, with the Alamo thing.
A past self known, retrieve my heart from Alamo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's two. There might be more callbacks, but I counted three. The one we already talked about, that one, and then there's Discomfort Revisited, which is a whole song about responding to a song they already wrote.
Right.
But we'll get around to that later.
Yeah. First is Housebroken, which is kind of the most controversial song on this album. A song that they completely stopped playing live, at least outside of the context of an album, like a full album play show, because the song was misinterpreted as being a song about domestic violence and kind of about a person who just accepts being in an abusive relationship because an abusive person also provides for them. Which like I totally understand the reading of that song. That was my initial reading of the song when I first heard it. But I think like if you doesn't take too much closer inspection to realize like this is absolutely a song about like when your friend grows up to become a cop, and and about police violence generally, and about how like you might get arrested by a person who you ran with as a kid. And I think this is like, it's probably my like second or third favorite song on the album now. I think it is. I think it is a really, really great song. And I wish that it hadn't had the the issues that it did. And Christian has said he thinks it's poorly written because it hurt people that he cared about. Just because it was not clear enough in what it was about.
Yeah, and honestly, that degree of willingness to step back and go, oh, this is how this is affecting other people, and I understand why or how we got here. That's not something a lot of artists have, weirdly, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this song is incredible. And I will not accept myself from having that, initial reading about it being domestic abuse either, because I definitely thought that initially. It's easy to see why that that alternative reading is, one, frustrating on its own merits, and two, hurtful to a lot of people. So I'm glad they, I'm glad Christian was this is what I meant, but also I understand that you might be interpreting it differently, and that's on me, not on you.
Well, and I the thing that makes the song so powerful to me is that I think it's less a song about the relationship between the state and citizens and the people or whatever than it is a song about the relationship of the establishment of the police force with an individual cop. To me, that's the parallel with the domestic violence thing, because the whole there's so much in this song about how okay, so let's look, I guess. Looking at the second verse I think it's the best part of the song, because it starts off with this appeal of saying why don't you come with me? We've got acres with streams. We won't keep you in cages, make you beg for your treats, which is another reference to nature and how nature is kind of this ideal state that you won't have the pressures of modern society if you would just let go of this life that you've chosen, this abuse, your I guess the system, or I'll get to, but then the response is master's all that I've got, keeps me having a purpose, gives me bed, keeps me fed, and I'm just slightly nervous of what I might do if I were let loose. Once the system elevates you and reinforces the superiority, it's really hard for a person to give that up. And I think that's the relationship between the I guess kind of the police force, the state, and a person who chooses to become part of that and sort of betray the way that they grew up. I just think that's a really powerful writing. It's really good.
Yeah.
I do love that this song ends with that unresolved cutting off in the middle of a word, this sort of final refusal to comply with this, what society thinks you should do. I think that's a great sort of meta way to end the song.
Yeah. The one other thing I do want to mention is the really cathartic shit that we get to accompany the fuck from introduction to
Yep.
the album.
Gotta have all the cathartic swears.
Yeah, exactly.
After that is Discomfort Revisited, which we kind of talked about a little bit already, is a sort of reinterpretation of Southern Discomfort from the We Are All Alone EP. Pulls a lot of the melodies and lyrics from that song. And I guess it is probably about the same person. I guess I would assume that. I guess it's kind of it's kind of a song about reconnecting with someone you had a relationship with in the past, and then realizing that you're in different places now and you don't want that relationship anymore. Even if you could maybe rekindle it. The thing that I love about, I love many things about this song. The time signature changes especially. But just the way the chorus ends with, it changes the lyrics every time, but the wish you could stay, wish you felt the same way. That melody is so good, and this is the song that I think that gets stuck in my head the most from this album.
I think that's fair. And yeah, that particular hook is just incredible. And of course it does the turn at the end where it's wish I could stay, wish I felt the same way, which implies an odd mutual feeling here. A mutual but different feeling between kind of the two parties being talked about. Yeah, and also it songs in 11. What's not to love? Come on. Or 3 sets of 3 and a set of 2. It's probably more likely 3 measures of 3 and a measure of 2, but nobody's writing this shit down. It's fine. Who cares?
Yeah, just feel it. The bridge I think is really powerful. Particularly that "Let Yourself
Yes.
Renew," project the voice that I found for you, which maybe a Weaker Than's reference. In my head it is.
I can see it.
Yeah, but then the "Feel soil under your toes, it's you have forever" is like just yet another expression of like renewal and like solace in nature, which is again, it's just like a theme I picked up on so much as I was listening through the album this week.
Yeah. And like and the possibility of renewal for everybody, even people that you are maybe no longer as connected with as you used to be. Like I feel like a lot of people just kind of end up dismissing people out of hand, and it feels like the feeling here is like we have lost what we once have, but I still think that you could, come back around in a positive way.
Yeah, for sure. And then the album ends with Dendron, a closer almost as perfect as the opener on this album, maybe just as perfect.
Yeah.
This is probably the most kind of explicitly right in the title. The title is referencing treeness, I guess.
Yes.
But the dendrite specifically is the tree shaped form at the end of a neuron, which is more another sort of layer of this album being about depression and about brain chemistry, and then I don't know, it just ties all those images together in a really interesting way. This is another one where I just want to read all the lyrics because they're so good.
Yeah, they're so good. There's some great wordplay in this one. Like, salutations to your son. Like, come on. Yeah, we won't do that. We promise.
I mean,
but
I might
really good.
Actually, just read my.
Please
favorite,
do some.
My favorite couple lines of the song are "We take what we have and we run, and it all starts to unravel until we're less than we were carrying before. I guess I expected more." Like the way that me just reading it just strips all the power away from it. Like it's all about how Christian sings it, the melody, the like exasperation in the or resolve in the well, guess I expected more is I don't know. It's it is such a great release of all the emotional energy built up on this album.
Yeah, it really is. And that the kind of B part of the song, it's marked as a chorus on Genius, and that is incorrect.
All the vocals come in and overlap.
Where we've got. I love that so much. Like lyrically, it's great, but like the way that those vocals intertwine and trade off is just like masterfully done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should actually probably like basically pick that part apart line by line, because this is,
sure.
I mean, the verse or whatever, this section, I think this is where all the themes of the album come together. Like this is so count my rings and see how many winters I've been stuck here underground is more nature, and it's more like just this idea of like there's been this renewal happening, and I haven't been able to, been stuck here underground, haven't been able to like reach it. And then the rest of it, this will swore I'd not burn out, a direct reference to the end of the last album. Then, this digging through the memories that made you feel alive when you were young, and broken since foundations and the structures you were building came undone. Like, to me, all of these lyrics are responding to the ideas in title track on It Never Goes Out. Like, that album ends so confidently, and so like I know exactly, I see the world for how I want it to be and nothing else. Like, that's the confidence of a teenager, and this album is really all about how those things, no matter how strong you think those foundations are, they can crumble if like the people around you are not there to support you, or you aren't able to support them. And like that is, I mean, that's the root of all the things that this album is about, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like that's that pretty much nails it. Like it's, yeah, it is, again, it's a fitting response to that kind of unbridled confidence that always had this shakiness underneath it. The shakiness was warranted, it turns out.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like I said, it's all about the inner child and this growth, even though you may not want it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just rambling at this point. It's like an overwhelming moment every time I hear this album.
Yeah. We should also talk about the very end of this song, which is an emotional turn on its own. It also, like, this is one of those things that probably doesn't actually matter, but like, it was clearly a choice that was made. In the little lyric booklet that comes with the LP, this is presented as a center justified poem. Like, the lines are not divided as lines. It like some lines have 2 words, some lines have a full sentence in them. And like, I think part of it is probably to drive the very last line of the album home. Basically the implication that this person has asked to have "Tell Me Again That It's All in My Head" etched on their grave. I say implication, that's literally just what's in the text. But like, we have this kind of, this very, very good, bridge with this kind of encapsulation of all these themes. And then we are like really thrown back into the reality of kind of what has shaken, the experiences that have kind of shaken that like core, confident, teenage belief that you're always just going to be like this person with like, incredibly great ideals, and you're going to see the world how you want it to be, and you're not going to let anything stop that until life starts happening, and we have to actually, live in the world and somewhat deal with the terms that it has set for itself, which, as we've mentioned multiple times, have largely been set by society, big capital S there. But yeah, I don't know, like, that the whole back half of this song just like really rips and like encapsulates basically everything that's come before it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last few lines are the Capital teaches that there's less when you share. Is, I mean, there is the whole idea, I think, of this band's worldview and what these songs are about is that we can share both, like, we can share resources communally, but we can also like share the weight of this stuff. And that's, I think that's what I felt the noose tighten up on your collarbone. I felt the gun in the small of your back. Like, I think those lines are a representation of like, when my friends hurt, when my people hurt, I hurt too. And like then to end with a literal epitaph of like, this that is in itself an exasperation with the idea that like the world, the modern society didn't believe that there were real problems here, that you were only inventing it. And it's a really, I don't know, it is at the same time a very hopeful sentiment that is punctuated with this extraordinarily downer note, to know that it ends on a person who could not escape it, and that we didn't build the ideal world for that person. And like, I don't know, it just leaves you with that, but then it ends with that acoustic guitar like reprise of the opening theme of the album.
I love that so much.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's there's no better way they could have constructed this.
No, definitely. Like, you could this is one of those albums where you could listen to it on a loop and it would probably sound effectively continuous.
Well, they're in different keys, but yes.
Well, no, but like at the beginning of the of introduction to the album, you get like some room noise, and like the last thing you hear on this song is somebody getting off of a stool, basically, or a chair or something.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell. It's a recording. But like, you get a little bit of that at the beginning. It really ties the room together, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just a great end to a basically perfect album.
Yeah, no, like perfect album. It's fine. We can say it. We're allowed to say it because
I mean, this is there. We went through this entire thing both very effusively praising this album. There's nothing that I think I would do like differently in this. Even the songs that I think were maybe misinterpreted a little bit, or it could be a little more clear, or whatever. It all works for me. I think it's like I said, it's in my top 5 albums of all time. Like it's we'll talk about Goodness next week, and I love Goodness. And in fact, I think Goodness is a better album in a lot of ways. But I don't know. This is the album that came along at exactly the right time for me. It's one of those albums that it reinvigorated my love of music in a way that a few albums over the years have. It's just great.
Yeah, for real. I empathize with having to reckon with the fact that an album you like more is maybe not as good as the other one.
Yeah,
which is me saying Goodness is your Black Parade.
Kinda, yeah.
That's a weird conclusion to draw from that, but I'm sticking by it.
It's okay if you've been listening to this podcast, you get it.
It's fine.
Really only one B-side from this era. I'm notably leaving out so even before Home came out, they had released a version of Settle the Scar on a split. We're going to talk about that more next week because Settle the Scar actually ends up on Goodness. But the only other song from this era is a cover of Speaker for the Dead's song So Sad. And this is on a tribute to the music of Gregory McKillop, who sometimes went by the band name Speaker for the Dead. They're really indulging in some Americana vibes on this song. I think this is I don't know the original. I think this is a great cover and has made me want to seek out this band Speaker for the Dead because I really like this song.
Yeah, so I briefly took a look at Flower Pot Records remastered and re-released a compilation of Gregory's music, which is where I found the original version of this song, which he's a folk punk artist. Like, you can probably imagine kind of what it sounds like, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it's a guy with a guitar. There's not quite the instrumental fleshing out that you get with this Hotelier version. But actually what I found very interesting is there's a song by I don't know if it was a Singer for the Dead song or just under Gregory McKillop's name. But he has a song called Punk Rock Did Not Save My Life. And the last line of that song is helping people who are hurting should never be a burden, which feels like it really, in a lot of ways, the whole song kind of sounds like it encapsulates the worldview of the Hotelier at large. Because the whole song is about kind of your privilege in the world and the ways in which you are or are not saved by certain things, but you may put on a front as if you have been. It's an interesting song about your complicated relationship with the things that you love. It's also 2 minutes long, so it's a little less than maybe I purported it to be. But I found it. I can see why the band enjoys this person's music for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But good cover. I like it.
Yeah. That is all of the Hotelier's music for this era that we're going to talk about. So you got a random recommendation for this week?
Yeah, I do. So I am going to recommend the single "Treat Me Like a Stranger" by Rhymany. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Rhymany is a project from my friend Zach Engel, who I went to college with. One of the most talented musicians and composers I know. Has gone on since we graduated to write music for television, for commercials, just do a whole bunch of really neat stuff. But he has started this pop project called Rhymany. The first single, Treat Me Like a Stranger, came out last month, towards the end of June. There's another one coming out that I believe will be out by the time this episode goes up. I don't know the name of it offhand, but I'll soft recommend that one too because the snippets I've heard sound great. But yeah, kind of this project reminds me a little bit of an almost more blown out version of some of Porter Robinson's more rock oriented stuff, which seems like a weird comparison. There's more orchestral type arrangements here. There's a lot of saxophone. But yeah, just really really fun pop music. Really looking forward to the rest of what this project has to offer. I believe there's an album coming out later this year, but I don't think that's been officially announced, and maybe it doesn't actually exist and I'm making it up. Who knows? But yeah, Treat Me Like a Stranger by Rhymany. What do you have, Troy?
I am going to recommend something that I talked about on our our best of the year so far episode. It was one of my most anticipated albums of the year, which I have now heard and heard many times. That is "Pruning of the Lower Limbs" by Moving Mountains. This is Moving Mountains' return after 12-ish years since their self-titled album. If you have never heard Moving Mountains before, they're a I guess I would say like post-rock influenced, slightly emo influenced rock band. They fall somewhere in those realms. And man, are they good. They're, they much like the Hotelier, started off as a high school band, just one of the best high school bands ever. Clearly though, yeah, that would be a heck of a battle of the bands of, Numa era Moving Mountains and early Hotelier and All We Know Is Falling era Paramore. That'd be pretty cool.
God, yeah. Wild.
But so Pruning of the Lower Limbs basically takes kind of every era of Moving Mountains and smashes it all together in really interesting ways, and even adds some I go as far as to say some punk influence on it, which was surprising to hear. But Greg Dunn, the main vocalist and guitarist, and basically does everything but plays drums on it, is just great performances, great lyrics throughout. This is obviously going to be an album that's going to be on a lot of end of the year lists this year. It's a good one.
I believe it. It's a really good album. I owe it a sit down and listen to it all the way through. Because I listened to it on 3 separate kind of brief car trips, and that's definitely not the way to experience this album.
Yeah, this is a headphones real loud album, I think.
For sure. I will give it the listen it deserves, because it's really cool. And yeah, the punk influence that kind of crept in, that was less there on their previous efforts, kind of caught me by surprise, and I kind of loved it.
Yeah. Well, what made me quite happy to realize was that this album was it was conceived as a solo album with Mike Kennedy from the Wonder Years playing drums on it. And then when Greg decided to make a Moving Mountains record, he had Nick Pizzolatto, which is funny, the same name as the guy who wrote True Detective, the drummer of Moving Mountains, record over all the drums. But I can totally hear Snow on Norris Street is a song that they're really, really fast beat, which that's totally a Mike Kennedy thing. Yeah. I can totally hear that. And he talked about maybe we'll release the version with Kennedy playing drums at some point in the future, which I hope happens, because I want to hear that too.
Hell yeah. That would be rad.
Cool. So that is it for this week. You can find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com and on Instagram at noisefloorpod. And next week we will be back talking about the Hotelier's final album, Goodness. And I can finally I hinted a little bit of my thoughts on it. It is also perfect. We'll talk more about it next week.
Yeah. Yeah, we like this band. It's kind of wild, I know.
Yep.
All right. See y'all next week.